In this video, I will be showing you how to go about adding additional public pages to SP Pro. This might become handy if you would like to have a custom homepage, an About Us page, a pricing page, and so forth. Right, let's dive right in. So the starting point is to create a new module. And to do this, we go to the SP Pro, to the main SP Pro project folder. In there, you will find a folder named Application. And within the Application folder, you will find another folder named Modules. This is where all of our modules are located. Now, the next step here is to go ahead and create a new folder in here. The naming does not really matter. I do advise to typically choose a name that has some kind of semantic value. Other than that, you're free to pick any name here that you want. Now, you could create a new module for every additional page you want to create. However, you would end up with a whole bunch of additional unnecessary modules. So my advice would be to create one module and use that one module to generate any number of additional pages. Right, so go ahead and create this new module folder inside your module folder. And within that new folder, you will need to create two additional folders. One is called Controllers and one is called Views. Make sure that you name them exactly this. If you name them something else, you will end up with a bunch of errors and it won't work. So it has to be Controllers and it has to be Views. Right, now the next step would be to create our actual controller. And to that end, you want to go ahead and create a PHP file inside your Controllers folder. Now, the naming of this particular PHP file becomes a little bit more tricky. You have to make sure that you start the file name with a capital. Right here, you can see that we've named our controller hello.php, and you can see we've used a capital H. If you were to use a lowercase h, it wouldn't work. So that's the first thing to pay attention to. The second thing is you want to make sure that inside your controller file, you name your class exactly the same as your PHP file. So it's hello with a capital H, and you can see that our class name is also hello with a capital H. Now, inside our controller function, you see we have a constructor function right here. You don't really need to pay a lot of attention to this. Just put it there and leave it there. So we have two additional functions right here. We have an index function and we have a test function. Now, assuming that you are going to use a single module to display multiple pages, essentially every page is represented by its own function. So right now we would be able to display two pages inside two pages using this particular controller. So that's our controller file. The next step would be to create our views. Now, the views are PHP files, and those PHP files typically contain the HTML that is rendered in your browser. So having a look at our first one right here, the one named hello.php. By the way, you can name these anything you want, as long as you make sure that you load them properly from the controller, which we will show in a moment. You can see right here that it's pretty much just regular HTML. We have a few CodeIgniter helper functions in here to load some external CSS and some external JavaScript. Now, since these are PHP files, you can use PHP in these templates, in these view files. You don't have to. You can also just stick with regular HTML. Now, quickly about the external style sheet and the external JavaScript file. I have created a folder here named CSS, which contains our style.css external CSS file, and I've created a folder named JS, which contains our script.js JavaScript file. Now, I've referenced them both from here using CodeIgniter helper function that generates our the proper paths to load these files. That's it for the view files. Now the next step is to actually add a route in the routes.php config file, which is located inside application, config, and then routes. There we go. Now, this file contains a lot of stuff, and you want to be careful here that you don't start messing around with this, because it's easy. You can easily break parts of your application. So you want to look for the first conditional block right here, the first if statement. Right now, at this moment in time, it starts at line 57 and it extends until line 111. So you want to locate this particular block, and then at the bottom you'll see this particular line of code, regular expressions, blah blah blah. Now you want to add your routes just above that. So these are two routes that I've just added in here. So essentially right now we would have two pages. So we have a hello page and we have a good morning page. The hello and good morning right here are the pages as they are actually loaded inside our browser. So this is what would be typed into the browser, as I will show in a moment. You need to map this to your controller and the function within that controller. So you can see right here when we load hello, the hello page, it will access the index function inside the hello controller. Now this is our controller, and you can see right here we have an index function which will load this particular view. For the good morning page, it will also access the hello controller, but instead of the index function, it will use the test function. You can see right here we have our test function, which loads our good morning view. Now you see right here this applies. This is our module, and this is the actual view file. You can see right here we have a hello view file and we have a good morning view file. At this point, you will be able to actually load these pages inside your browser. So let's start off with hello. Now this little JavaScript alert is something that I have inside my inside this external JavaScript file, just to indicate that it's working. Additionally, I'm using the external CSS file to apply a red color to our h1 tags, just to indicate that CSS is working as well. You can see right here that I've loaded our hello page, which maps to the index function in the hello controller. Now let's try our good morning page. Same thing here with the JavaScript alert, and it loads our good morning view. You can see right here that in our good morning view we have written hello world, good morning, which we are seeing here, hello world, good morning. So this is it. This is how we would go about adding additional public pages. Now, the last thing that you might want to do is you might want to change your default homepage. So right now, if we were to just load our SB Pro installation, oh, I've already changed this right here. Normally, when we load SB Pro, we are right away sent to the login page. Now, you might want to change this to one of your custom pages. If that's the case, you would need to make another modification to your routes.php file. You want to look for the default controller. This is where, if no other page is requested, this is where you will be sent. Now, right now, this is pointing towards our authentication controller. We could point this to our new hello controller. Now you can see right here that at this point I'm specifying only a controller, which is our hello controller. And if I load that, it will load our custom page. By default, if I only specify a controller and no function, it will always grab the index function. I could, however, decide I want to use our good morning page instead. So I would need to use the test function. In that case, I would specify our hello controller followed by a slash and then the test function. And you will see right now it will load our good morning page. Now, if you want to link back to the login page, you would need to, just going to put that in here. You will need to send them back to the authentication controller. See, right now we have a login right here. If I were to click that, they end up at the login page. So that's it. If you have any questions or run into any problems adding your custom public pages to SB Pro, please feel free to reach out via our live web chat or through the forums. Thanks.